Fruit flies. Fruit flies were the very first animals intentionally sent into space, launched by the United States in 1947 aboard a captured German 5-2 rocket. Scientists chose them because their genetics are surprisingly similar to humans, making them useful for studying how radiation affects living tissue. The rocket reached an altitude of about 100 kilometers, briefly entering what is considered the edge of space. The flies survived the journey and were safely recovered by parachute, proving that living organisms could endure the intense acceleration and radiation of spaceflight. Albert II, the monkey. Albert II was a rhesus monkey launched in 1949 as part of early American space experiments. Unlike earlier attempts, this mission reached an altitude of around 134 kilometers, making Albert II the first mammal to reach space. Sensors monitored his heartbeat and breathing, giving scientists valuable data about how mammals respond to extreme forces during launch. Although the capsule returned to Earth, a parachute failure caused it to crash, and Albert II did not survive, highlighting the risks involved in early space exploration. Laika the dog. Laika was a stray dog from Moscow who became the first animal to orbit Earth when she was launched aboard Sputnik 2 in 1957 by the Soviet Union. Engineers selected her because dogs were thought to tolerate confinement better than other animals. Laika's mission proved that a living creature could survive the intense conditions of launch and remain alive in orbit. However, the spacecraft had no system to return safely to Earth, and Laika died several hours into the flight due to overheating, becoming one of the most well-known animals in space history. Belka and Strelka the dogs. Belka and Strelka were Soviet space dogs launched together in 1960 aboard Sputnik 5. Unlike Laika's mission, their spacecraft was designed to return to Earth safely. Along with mice, insects, and plants, they completed multiple orbits around Earth before landing successfully. Their safe return demonstrated that mammals could survive extended time in orbit and return unharmed, helping pave the way for the first human spaceflight less than a year later. Ham the chimpanzee. Ham was a chimpanzee trained by the United States to perform simple tasks during spaceflight, such as pulling levers when lights flashed. He flew aboard a Mercury Redstone rocket in 1961, reaching suborbital space. During the flight, Ham successfully completed his assigned tasks despite strong forces and brief weightlessness, showing that trained animals could function under space conditions. His survival and performance provided confidence that astronauts would be able to control spacecraft during flight. Félicette the cat. Félicette was a French cat launched into space in 1963 as part of France's early space research program. Scientists implanted electrodes in her brain to monitor neural activity during the flight. The rocket reached an altitude of about 157 kilometers before returning safely to Earth by parachute. Félicette survived the mission and provided rare data about how the brain responds to weightlessness, making her the only cat known to have traveled to space. Turtles on Zond 5. Turtles were chosen by the Soviet Union in 1968 for a mission aboard Zond 5, which became the first spacecraft to circle the moon and return to Earth with living creatures on board. The turtles traveled with flies, worms, and plants, spending several days in deep space. Because turtles can survive long periods without food, they were well suited for the journey. When the capsule returned to Earth, the turtles were still alive, proving that life could survive a trip around the moon before humans attempted similar missions. Spiders Arabella and Anita. Arabella and Anita were two garden spiders sent into orbit aboard Skylab 3 in 1973. Scientists wanted to understand how weightlessness would affect the way spiders spin webs. At first, the spiders struggled to build proper webs, producing uneven and messy structures. Over time, however, they adapted and created more symmetrical webs, showing that animals can adjust their behavior to the unusual conditions of space. Medaka fish. Medaka fish were sent to space by Japan in 1994 as part of experiments aboard the Space Shuttle. These small freshwater fish were chosen because their transparent bodies allow scientists to easily observe internal changes. Researchers studied how weightlessness affected swimming patterns, bone development, and reproduction. The fish adapted quickly, continuing to swim and feed in microgravity, helping scientists better understand how aquatic animals behave outside Earth. Tardigrades. Tardigrades, often called water bears, were sent into space in 2007 during a European Space Agency mission. These microscopic animals are known for their extreme durability and ability to survive harsh environments. During the experiment, some tardigrades were exposed directly to the vacuum of space without protection. Many of them survived the exposure and later reproduced back on Earth, demonstrating an extraordinary ability to endure radiation and dehydration that would kill most other life forms. Mice. Mice have been sent repeatedly to the International Space Station in modern experiments studying long-term effects of microgravity on bones and muscles. Because mice share many biological similarities with humans, they provide valuable insight into how space travel affects living bodies over extended periods. Scientists observed muscle loss, bone density changes, and immune system shifts, helping develop countermeasures that protect astronauts during long missions. Squid hatchlings. Squid hatchlings were launched to the International Space Station in 2021 as part of research into how beneficial bacteria interact with animal bodies in space. These tiny squid rely on glowing bacteria to help them function properly, making them ideal for studying relationships between microbes and hosts. By observing how the squid developed in microgravity, scientists gained clues about how human immune systems and microbiomes might behave during long-term space travel.